All right, now we'll call this meeting formally to order. I'll ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
Councilman DeCiccio. Councilman Nowakowski. Councilwoman Pastor. Councilwoman Stark.
Here.
Councilman Valenzuela. Councilman Waring. Councilwoman Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Gallego. Mayor Stanton.
I am here. My understanding the vice mayor may not be on now, but she will be appearing telephonically and be participating in the meeting. I expect other council members to be arriving shortly. We have an interpreter with us today. Ms. Marquez, please introduce yourself.
Mi nombre es Leticia Márquez. Si necesita asistencia, ayuda con el español, por favor, véame. Gracias.
Thank you so very much. Now is the time for citizen comments. Citizens have up to 3 minutes to address this council on any topic they would like. Our first citizen to speak is Mr. Leonard Clark. Mr. Clark.
Hello, Mayor and council members. I'm a resident of Phoenix. Thank you for letting me speak, and thank you to all the veterans and the active duty members in our armed forces right now who are defending my right to speak. I'm here because I'm greatly concerned. Lori Roberts of the Arizona Republic just did an article, and I believe it affects the city of Phoenix. Many not-for-profit daycare centers for adult, physically challenged, cognitively challenged people, such as autistic people, people who have nowhere else to go, no other programs to go to. Lori Roberts several days ago said that many of these people are folks that the not-for-profits are not blaming the increase in our wages, minimum wage with Prop 206. They are saying that the legislature and the Governor Ducey of Arizona, will not expand the amount of funding. Now, you might say, Leonard, that's got nothing to do with the city of Phoenix, but as you know, we're the largest city. We have a lot of our citizens. Many families can go to work because they can send their adult family members whom they love dearly and know they're going to be safe and have friends and go to movies and learn things, jobs. They're not going to have that as of January 1st. Many of these not-for-profit centers are going to shut down. They're asking Governor Ducey to please show compassion and mercy. We don't know if that will be the case with the legislature, but if he would just call a special emergency session for this month coming, starting tomorrow, it's of urgent need. I mean, I understand many of our citizens in Phoenix who might not have a disabled adult family member that they have to worry about and make sure is in safe hands, might not understand this. This is not about a Republican thing. This is not about a Democratic thing. I know many Republicans, I know many Democrats who have adult family members. Evan Meekum, his grandson right now is in a daycare program that's going to be shut down if the Arizona legislature is not called into special session. We have many citizens in Phoenix who are not going to be able to go to their jobs. I'm sorry. Again, this is not about politics. I ask you, I implore you, please call Governor Ducey, and if Governor Ducey is listening, and my Republican friends, you are my friends, okay? Please, this is not about politics. Call a special session, get the funding so our loved ones in our community here in Phoenix and all around the state of Arizona are not going to be kicked out on day one from going to a program with the only social means that they have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clark, Ruben Reyes is next. Mr. Reyes, followed by Ms. Diane Barker.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Ruben Reyes, a Vietnam veteran, and I spent 3 months over at Cass, and the veterans over there are just deplorable conditions. I mean, you know, what I want to do is I want to get these guys out of there because, you know, hey, they paid a price. We have one guy that's got a titanium leg that can't find wrenches to adjust his leg. And because they don't allow any tools in that facility. What I want to do is I want to get them into some type of a transition housing. I'm not sure if, you know, this is what I've got to do. I think everybody just turns their back. I mean, nobody really cares. My next step would be go to the VA and talk to the director and who's paying Cass for all the veterans. There's 68 veterans that are housed at Cass, and they're getting a portion of the pie, and we're not seeing it. The veterans are not seeing it. We all have issues, and there's a lot of smoking of the spice and doing heroin right on the compound there, and they wheel and deal, and it's nothing. It's all nothing. And we have morals, and we do what's right, and we defended this country, and the dignity and the respect. Where is that dignity and respect? I come from the Vietnam era, and we were spit on, and we were given the finger, and we weren't very liked when we came back home. Where was the dignity and the respect? And we're still fighting a war, and we shouldn't have to. We paid the price. I mean, all these guys are just, they're getting down on their morale because they don't feel that anybody is listening. But City Council, if there's anything that you guys can do to help us out, I would sure appreciate it. God bless you all, and thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes. Thank you for your service, first and foremost. We can't talk substantively other than our Human Services Director, Bo Gallegos, is here, and I think he wants to talk directly to you to see if we can't help solve some of those issues. Councilman DeCiccio?
Yeah, Mayor, I was just going to follow up on that. Mr. Reyes? The program that the City of Phoenix has right now gives priority to veterans. So all those 68 veterans, if there are 68, there may be more, there may be less. We don't know what it is up here on the council. But bottom line is, every one of those individuals will get permanent housing from the program that Phoenix has in place right now, every one of them. So if we could get a report back from staff to find out what occurred with that, what's happening with those veterans, and when that placement would occur, or if they're even, I don't know who's there. I mean, we just had one individual come and talk to us. So the bottom line is, if there are any veterans there, they will get permanent housing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilman DeCiccio. The next speaker is Diane Barker. Normally, during citizen comment, citizens are allowed to speak on any subject they would like to. Ms. Barker, I want you to speak on any subject you want to, except for last Saturday's football game. That's the only subject I'm going to ask you not to speak on.
I think it goes without saying there, Mayor, is that anybody who didn't like the last play on the 4th down and a run, Harborough should have taken care of us when he was ahead. Go Bucks. And thank you, Wolverine Mayor and City Council. A little sense of humor. As Woody Hayes says, and this is as old as Woody, my cheerleading letter is that without winners, you wouldn't have civilization. And speaking of that, we had a great turnout for Meet Me Downtown, 2 years birthday. It happened last week, and we've had over 17,000 people, and the city was greatly represented by Runner Ed Zerker. Thank you, sir. You were there, and David Kreider is a friend of the city and has worked here and now has a lead in the development of downtown, was there, and he spoke, and some people actually came by transit. But we still have a lot of people that are being promoted to come for free parking. And the other thing is I'm glad to see that the city has some ADA compliance. I know, Mayor, you're very big with that, helping persons of disabilities, as many of the other council people. And at MAG, they're now going through a whole thing where they're giving the latest information on ADA to the cities. And in regards to Mr. Resnick, he lost his hearing as in the service. And if you look in the latest service magazine that came out during the Veterans Parade, that's the #1 disability, or one of the biggest ones, is that during war, people lose their hearing ability, and it happens at a young age many times. So it's good today what the city has doesn't, it's not a muff like they have at MAG, so it didn't fit his ear, Mr. Resnick's ear. But I want to just bring up a couple of things and thank Kelly Marie. Sal DeCiccio went over to have her handle a problem that was on zoning, and as far as Mr. Resnick go, the drainage will be stopped for his property. However, it brought up an issue I'm interested in is children, in the fact that we shouldn't be having schools that could not have improper drainage and would create mold. And so that issue, in my mind, still isn't settled. I look for Kelly helping out on that. And also, remember when the checks were stolen over a year ago? And I have the report. And the thing about it is I really think I want the city, and Kelly took a scan with her phone on this report, to look to see if, in fact, putting the blame on the person that found the checks, as it is, and putting a lot of counts against him for trespassing and holding out information and everything, I think that it got escalated. I think he was upset that the city asked people and taxed people, but when there's missing money, there's no responsible party. So I'm interested to see the conclusion on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Barker. Mr. Rusnick, followed by Mr. Dickinson.
My name is John Rustick. I was talking about the 3,000 feet in the backyard of my neighbor. It's now 6,000 feet. But he hasn't been there and took all the vehicles out of his property right now. His trailer's gone, cars are gone. So if the city did something, I would like to know whether they did something. If not, I'm going to have the same problem. On the driveway, it says you used 1/2 inch gravel on the driveway. I've got a sheet sent to the city that says anything over 1.5 inches, an inch, an inch and a half, anything over that is going to move. And also, the site shall be kept weed and litter free. There isn't anybody taking that. And who wrote this was Larissa Hills for Teresa Gomez. This is the work order or approval of the driveway. So depends on what you're going to do, and I've got 2 other pieces of paper that calls for gorilla snot put on, but this guy don't have gorilla snot put on his property. That's supposed to keep the dust down. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rusnick. Mr. Dickinson?
Good afternoon, Mayor Stanton and council member. I am Tom Dickinson in District 6, Councilman DeCicio's district. I am here, neighbors, Rita and I are opposed to the bicycle lane on Missouri Road from 24th Street to I-17. First issue is safety. Missouri has an issue with the curbs, both north and south, are not parallel to the center of the Missouri center. And so you have areas where Missouri narrows, forcing the vehicular traffic to squeeze in to these narrow points. And there's numerous. The one that I'm aware of for a long time is 20th Street going west about a half a football field length west on Missouri. The curb sticks out, and it's just black with tire tread marks on it. So it's a safety issue. I think before a bike lane put on Missouri has to be addressed, because now you're going to have bicycles and cars being constricted in these narrow areas, and it's going to be a safety issue. And then the second issue is that there is a problem with traffic on Missouri, the whole length of it from 24th Street to I-17, and putting one lane there is going to not improve the neighborhood, and especially the restriction of mobility by the neighbors in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dickinson. We have one final speaker for public comment, Mr. Daniel Janty. Good to see
Good
you.
afternoon, Marquette. Love Arizona, as I said last time, mystical place, mystical skies. I spoke here a couple years ago. The sacred herb is still not yet decriminalized. It's important. It's, as Bob Marley said, alcohol is the destruction of the nation, and herb is the healing of the nation, as it cites in Revelations chapter 22, verse 2. We're working to see some of the improvements in the parks of Phoenix, which are beautiful parks. We'd like to put a dog park into Edison Park. We'd like to maybe provide for another basketball court there, another drinking fountain, another facilities. I know in San Francisco there are some people's parks where someone can come and put down a sleeping bag for a night, clean up some of the garbage, leave in the morning, maybe return the next night. We're working with some of the youth at Edison Park on cleanliness and no cursing, trying to talk against the dangers of Ritalin. Now, I don't see much Rastafari consciousness around anywhere I go. So the burden shouldn't really have to fall on one person's shoulders, but as Bernie Sanders has said, a rising tide lifts all boats. The price of the medical marijuana card is ridiculous, $250 a year. We should indeed have the government, the city government, Governor Ducey shouldn't be making it harder to get a medical marijuana card, because I'm not a physician, but I'm training to be one, and attention deficit disorder is a challenge in our society, among other ailments, epilepsy, bulimia. The governments of the city and the state should be promoting marijuana. It's all throughout the Bible. You should be giving marijuana to people for the upliftment of the mind, for the motivation of the mind. We don't need to be talking about incarceration, more incarceration, less train, more incarceration, less train. We're trying to make things simpler for people, trying to make the populace more happy, happiness, encouraging happiness. We had voting challenges in the primaries, stopping Bernie Sanders. Therefore, now we have an orange Hitler in the White House. Very scary situation, crisis federal situation. When we look at our Attorney General that elect, et cetera. 18th Street footbridge, it's very dangerous for bikes. $42 fee to register dogs, not good. Landlord violations, there's a lot of harassment and discrimination. I've lived in 3 places in Phoenix so far, I've been discriminated by each landlord.
Mr. Janty, each speaker has 3 minutes. And,
yeah, thank you.
But,
You said that to me last time when I spoke the first time, too.
All right.
Yeah.
But the time is the time.
Right. There's been lies about Prop 205. Catholic Church gets tax breaks when they talk against.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Janty. Thank you for your testimony. You can come back next week and finish up any points you want. Thank you so much. Good to see you. All right, next on the agenda is, thank you. City Clerk will be the 24-hour paragraph.
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances number G 6238 through 6240 S43005 through 43057, and resolutions number 21496 through 21499.
Thank you very much. It appears there are no meeting minutes to approve. Boards and commissions, do we have boards and commission nominations, Vice Mayor?
Motion to approve city council boards and commission nominations.
Motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Are there citizens here today to be sworn in for service? Are any citizens here to be sworn in today? Okay. We'll move on to the next part of the agenda. Next part of the agenda is liquor license applications, 1 through 11. Vice Mayor.
Motion to approve items 1 through 9.
We have a motion and a second, items 1 through 9. Are any of the cards in those items? Not wishing to speak, but in favor. Any comments by members of the City Council? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Items 10 and 11 are proposed liquor licenses. Staff is recommending for disapproval in District 4. We'll start with item number 10. Item number 10 is a proposed liquor license for Exodus Cabaret. Councilman Pastor, do you want to hear a short staff presentation first?
I do, Mayor.
Please, professional staff.
Mayor, members of the council, my name is Denise Archibald. I'm with the City Clerk Department. This request is for an ownership transfer of a license for a topless bar doing business as Exodus Cabaret. This location was previously licensed for liquor sales as Roxy Showgirls and has been issued an interim permit by the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control. Consideration may be given to the applicant's personal qualifications and to the location. One letter protesting the issuance of this license has been received and is on file in the office of the city clerk. The letter is from the Westwood Community Association. Staff recommends disapproval of this application based on a neighborhood protest.
All right, thank you very much. On item number 10, there are 2 cards. One is from the applicant. The other is for Randy Roberts, opposed. Councilman, you want to hear the cards before? Okay. So how about, let's hear from the applicant first, Mr. Joe David. Mr. David, are you here? You want to come forward and provide any testimony for this council, up to 2 minutes? Why we should issue a liquor license to Exodus Cabaret?
Good afternoon, Councilman and Mayor. The reason we have this transfer license number 6, we're doing a topless bar, of course, and we also would have an agenda for a goal is putting a restaurant in there too. Hopefully within 6 months we're going to making a restaurant, put in a kitchen, and we want to be succeed in that place. We'll be strictly probably topless plus restaurant. That's all I could offer.
Thank you very much. And now you have a couple of colleagues with you. We know Mr.
And I have a partner here who is more into entertainment business. He do a lot of performers, and we have a training in the liquor license too. 10 years, last 10 years. I had a liquor license for gas stations, and
Okay. Sir, you're standing there. Did you have testimony for this council? Please state your name for the record and any testimony you'd like to provide to this council.
My name is Emmanuel Ayafo. I'm a partner with Joe, and I've been teaching arts at Arizona State University for 2 years, and I help organize the African festivals for 5 years in the city of Phoenix, and I have worked in the behavioral health service for about 10 years. When we met together, when we had this business opportunity, we saw that there was a homeless crisis in that neighborhood. We said the first thing we have to do was to address the problem, because the drugs that were infested in the neighborhood was going to affect our business. So we went and talked to some of the members in the community. We tried to build a building, and we are going to put an ethnic restaurant in there, not just a stripless club. Then part of the things that we plan to do is to organize drum session. And I have actually organized a drum session here for Black History Month in this same room. I have organized drum session for homeless people, for the city of Phoenix, the City Public Library, Glendale Public Library, and I think it will be an addition to a strip club to be able to be off on Sunday to organize community events. It has a beautiful stage. It has an access to most of the community members. We are not just there just to open a strip club. We want to open an ethnic restaurant. and I have an experience of running a restaurant too.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
All right. Next speaker will be Mr. Randy Roberts. Unless, Mr. Lukowitz, do you have something to say? Please, you want to provide testimony? I only received one card. But if, did you want to provide
He's out,
testimony, Mr.
Counsel.
Lukowitz?
May I speak?
Of course, yeah. I was only reading off the cards that I had. I only had one in favor. But go ahead, Mr. Lukowitz. Good to see you.
I'm Jerry Lukowitz, and I'm a lawyer and counsel for them. Excuse me. There's only one aspect to this that the council should consider. I know I've read the objectors, the protesters' letter, and it has to do with the location. The location has been licensed for, I don't know, 30 years perhaps. This is a transfer of a license that's been there. And so, according to the law, and Denise would support me as well as your city council, what you have before you then is whether or not the applicant is reliable, capable, and qualified to have the license. And I think that's pretty obvious with his background, his training. He's a previous licensee without any violation whatsoever. And I think it's a benefit. Denying him means that somebody else will be before you because the number 6 license will remain there at that location. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Like, why didn't I fill out a card?
Thank you very much, Mr. Lukowitz. Any questions from Mr. Lukowitz, the applicant, or his partner? All right, thank you very much. Next
Thank
speaker,
you very much.
Thank you.
Randy Roberts, did you provide testimony on this item opposed to the proposed liquor license?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Councilwoman Pastor, other council members. As you know, the Westwood community has been here before with this very liquor license and this very establishment. The Westwood community has opposed this establishment for 30-plus years. This will be the third time, hopefully, that you unanimously vote to deny the liquor license transfer. What's interesting is this business was closed for 240 days consecutively. After 180 consecutive days, according to zoning law in the city of Phoenix, their non-conforming use, adult use, was forfeited. They continue illegally to have an adult use. The city has issued them a cease and desist order, which they refuse to comply with. And they are currently open right now. So while the applicant was talking to you, he was breaking the law. So I don't know how that makes him capable, qualified, or reliable. Now, to address another 180-day issue, the rebuttable presumption that is so pesky and annoying to communities has one little sentence in it that Mr. Lukowitz failed to read, and that is the very last one. The presumption shall not apply once the licensed location has not been in use for more than 180 days, and the presumption shall not extend to the personal qualifications of the applicant. That is Arizona Revised Statute 4-203A. So we can now get around the presumption, and the location is now an issue. So, any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Roberts. Councilman Nowakowski.
I have a question for Denise. Is that true? Has it been closed for 180 days, or?
Mayor, members of the council, Councilman Nowakowski, we have received information from the Planning and Development Department that the location has been closed for over 180 days and deeming that the use for adult use is not currently allowed.
Alrighty, thank you.
Sorry, so we better understand. I have a question on that. So the use being an adult use or as a liquor establishment?
Adult use, and that's why it's not specifically mentioned in staff's report, but the Planning and Development Department is working on it along with the Neighborhood Services Department for the use portion of adult use versus liquor.
Mayor,
Okay. Councilman DeCiccio?
I just want to ask the applicant to address that because that's kind of a critical point. I'd like to know what their thoughts are on that. If you could.
Mr. Lukowitz, did you want to address the issue of the fact that the building was not utilized for such a long period of time, and whether that makes it even eligible for a vote here today? And then I guess the corollary would be the statement that Mr. Roberts meant about the location being an issue. He addresses council saying that it is appropriate for us to take into account location.
Well, may I say to the council, Mayor, that that is in dispute, and there is evidence of the place being open and operating, so it told the 180 days, but this is before your planning department, which we will take up right immediately. What you're concerned about is the license. And if he operates, the planning department says no, then he just owns a license at that location because he is reliable, capable, and qualified to have a number 6 license. The other aspect, as to the operation itself, is subject to the planning department's, let's say, final. They do not have copies of the tax returns, which were made for their, I don't know how many times it's been open in the period of 180 days, but they will have that tax information, and that's their decision to make as to whether or not the licensee, Mr. David, can operate as, well, I have him here, but can operate as a topless club, or he just operates as a bar.
All right, thank you very much. Any additional questions for Mr. Roberts or Mr. Lukowitz or the applicant? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Pastor.
So as Mr. Roberts has stated, this is the 3rd time this has been in front of us, and now deeming it being closed for 180 days and it not being an improper use, I am supporting the neighborhood of opposing this, so I'm making a motion to oppose this liquor license.
Second.
Or we have a motion in opposition to the liquor license. It sounds like the opposition is based upon one issue is neighborhood opposition. Second is that it is our position as a city, it sounds like at this point, that it is not eligible as an adult use at this time. And then the issue of location was raised. I don't know if what staff position is on the location issue.
Mayor, there are 2 different issues here with this liquor license. One is the liquor license application itself, and the other is the use, the adult use. From a liquor license standpoint, both the person's capability, qualifications, and reliability and the location can be considered. The state statute in 4203 discusses whether there's a presumption on the location or not, which is really a burden of proof issue, meaning either the applicant needs to prove that there is a presumption that the location is in the best interest of the community, or the city would have to prove that that is the case or is not the case. And so in this case, both can be considered, location and the person, in terms of whether there's a presumption or not. If 180 days have passed, the liquor license application, for that purpose, you can consider the location. So the city, according to the information that we have currently, that location has been closed for 180 days, and therefore location is not presumed. But regardless of whether it was presumed or not, it could still be considered. And then if it goes to the liquor board as a disapproval, then either the city or the applicant would have to dispute whether it's presumed or not, and the board would decide.
Okay. And so it's clear for the record, council, we want to make sure that the liquor board gets clear direction from this council as to the reasons why we're, if assuming the vote is in the affirmative for what you've recommended, all of the reasons why we are potentially turning it down. So it's not just neighborhood opposition, it's also the fact that it's not an appropriate use because of the business not being active for at least 240 days, plus is your belief that it's an inappropriate location as well?
Yes.
Okay. For those reasons, then, the motion is for denial. There was a second. Any comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Nowakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yeah, so the motion for denial was unanimously successful. Next item on the agenda, also in District 4, is a proposed liquor license for Plush Gentlemen's Club. It's recommended for disapproval by our professional staff. Councilman, do you want to hear a short staff presentation on item number 11?
Yes.
Please.
Mayor and members of the council, this request is for an ownership and location transfer of a license from Scottsdale for a topless bar doing business as Plush Gentlemen's Club. This location was not previously licensed for liquor sales and does not have an interim permit. Consideration may be given to the applicant's personal qualifications and to the location. 4 letters protesting the issuance of this license have been received and are on file in the office of the city clerk. The letters are from the Coronado Neighborhood Association and local residents. Staff recommends disapproval of this application based on neighborhood protest.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for our professional staff as to their recommendations for why they're recommending disapproval? With that, we'll hear for the cards that are here. There are 3 in favor and looks like right now 2 or 3 opposed, excuse me. TJ Snow, and then looks like the other speakers are Jean Ochino and Sherry Snow. So also come forward and provide whatever testimony you want to present to this council. Mr. Snow, go right ahead, up to 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is TJ Snow. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm the current owner of Plush Gentlemen's Club. We're the licensed SOB currently that's operating there. It's been operating for 41 years. First, I would like to address the 4 protest letters. They are cut and paste letters, all that are the same letter. We tried to address and call the Coronado president of the association, Mr. Cook. We asked Mr. Cook if we could just sit down and discuss his concerns. Mr. Cook stated in a 1 minute and 4 second conversation on November 8th that his concerns weren't with us. It was with a previous license that was 1.5 miles away from us. And that we told him that we stated that we didn't think that was fair, that he would protest our license based off another location. He said he did not care. So based off that, we asked that these protests not carry any weight today with the council. As for the need and convenience, this location has been a strip club since 1975. The owner of the building is currently with us. It will continue to be a strip club moving forward. I think the real issue is here is mode of operation. Who we're going to cater to and who we're not going to cater to. You have a choice today who you want to decide what our operation will be. It still will be a strip club. We'll own it today. We'll own it tomorrow. So we're going to ask you to please, with that being said, give us an approval today based off the nefarious nature of the protest and don't reward an axe to grind type of protest.
Thank you very much, Mr. Snow. Ms. Ochino?
Hello. I've owned that building since 1975. It's been a continuous strip club since 1975. If you give them the license, it would no longer be a strip club. I don't know what your problem is. It's going to be there. It's C3 and it's grandfathered. So it's up to you whether you want it to be a strip club or topless.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ochino. Ms. Snow, Sherry Snow?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today. My name is Sherry Snow, born in Columbus, Ohio in 1971, the youngest of 5 sisters. I had very limited economic opportunities and turned to the adult industry off and on since 1996. Late in 2004, I became very frustrated at the way clubs treat entertainers in Las Vegas, Nevada. At that time, I decided I wanted to work very hard and save my money and own my own club one day. That's why I'm here today. I currently own and operate Plush Gentlemen's Club. My goal is to help these women that work in this environment while also providing access and training to resources that I never were provided with. I hope that this council does minimize my goals as a woman or other women that might have similar aspirations. I understand that many people have the position that all strip clubs are bad. In my experiences, there are 2 types of clubs. One that care about the people that they work with, and other ones that simply just don't. Today, you're making that choice, and I ask you to please approve my application. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Snow. Also in favor of not wishing to speak is Teresa Morse, the agent on behalf of the applicant. Now we have a few cards in opposition. First is Ms. Kate Wells, followed by Mr. Gerald Cook. And then Mike Anderson, I guess you're not wishing to speak, but also opposed. Ms. Wells, great to see you.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you, and thank you,
council members for taking the time and the attention to hear about our opposition or my opposition to the applicant. I've been a resident of the Coronado neighborhood for 24 years. I'm also here representing the board of directors of Trellis, which you might remember as Neighborhood Housing Services, which I currently serve on. It's a nonprofit that's actually located within about a half a mile of, and they're property owners in the neighborhood as well. So I'm doing double duty today. I also want to mention that this application straddles both District 4 and District 8. It's right on the board, it's on McDowell, so it does impact significantly 2 districts. We're happy to be in 4, but we're talking about both of them now. And I am actually in opposition to this for 3 separate reasons. 2 are connected with the location, and 1 is also relating to the capability, reliability, and qualifications of the owners. The first is the location. The issue of this license is not in the best interest of our community due to current crime rates that are probably in your packets, including violent crimes being 4 times the city average within a half a mile of that space, and property crimes being double the average of the city. Additionally, property violation data shows that we have 3 times the average number of property violations within a half a mile of the space. So you have probably driven down McDowell and understand the challenges that are happening in that area. As a Trellis board member, I want to bring to your attention, and you may have already heard, that there's an initiative with Phoenix Community Alliance to help the neighborhood and the local businesses create a business district of business owners, and also assist the neighbors and university health to create a more livable environment there. The other reasons, besides the crime, are there are more than sufficient liquor licenses in the area to meet the needs and convenience of the neighborhood. Within 500 feet of the proposed license, there are 3 other number 6s and 3 other number 10s. Lastly, on record is information we've provided from the state of Oregon about violations that occurred, at least 1 for sure, that occurred under the management and ownership of the applicants in relation to a strip club that they owned in Oregon. So for those 3 reasons, I ask for your opposition.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wells. Mr. Cook, did you provide testimony on this item? Also in opposition?
First of all, I'd like to make some corrections. I am not the president of Coronado Neighborhood Association, but it does explain why Mr. Snow may have called me instead of the Coronado Neighborhood Association. And I was abrupt because I was surprised to have received a call from them at all. The other thing is that the project that I was referring to happens to be once about a half a block from my home, and I was giving that as a relevance to the location aspect of liquor licenses in our neighborhood. I've lived in the Coronado neighborhood for almost 40 years, and at the current residence for a little over 30, or almost 35. And our constant vigil has been to prevent perimeter businesses and licenses, not prevent, but to monitor those improvements that actually help the neighborhood as opposed to continue to deteriorate it. And I've seen a lot of change in the neighborhood, a lot of good, but there continues to be this battle. And this is one liquor license that I felt it was worth the challenge to object to. And so that is why I continue to object the application.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cook. Michael Anderson, not wishing to speak, is also opposed. Ma'am, did you wish to provide testimony? Tell us who you are and where you stand on the liquor license.
I'm Teresa Morse, and I am the agent, statutory agent on the license, and I apologize. I came in late. So thank you for allowing me to speak, Mayor and council members. I just wanted to raise a couple issues in reference to this location due to my experience having worked at State Liquor for 13 years. This is a total nude establishment, allowing individuals that are 18 years of age to enter the business. With a liquor license, it prohibits young people from entering an establishment such as this. I understand the issue with regard to the alcohol matter. However, there is more regulation with the liquor laws, and I think that is something that needs to be considered carefully with the city council because, and I do appreciate the neighborhood because I worked closely with the neighborhoods, especially Coronado, with my work at State Liquor. So I do understand the predicament, but the fact of the matter resides that Mr. Snow already iterated that he will continue to operate a totally nude business, which he completely applied for at the City of Phoenix, paid all of his fees. And I'm also aware of the new statutory legislation, which now requires you to make a yes or no recommendation versus a no recommendation to the state. So I'm asking you to really consider this matter carefully. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There will be no further cards. I'll now turn it to Councilman Pastor. Do you have a motion?
So I have been working very closely with that neighborhood and the Business Alliance on the McDowell corridor. And we, in fact, we just had a meeting, I would think, 3 months ago to develop a plan on what economic development we would like to see in there and what type of vibrancy. And it included businesses around the area. It included neighbors and other neighborhoods within the area to really do a brainstorming and seeing what we would like to vision for that area. We had multiple staff there. Our CED was there to help us lead that charge. And we are heading in the right direction. I am very much supportive of the neighborhood, the Coronado neighborhood, and I will move staff's recommendation to disapprove based on neighborhood opposition.
The motion was in opposition. We have a second from Councilwoman Williams. Any comments or questions from members of this council on this item? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Nowakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, so the motion for disapproval passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Councilwoman Pastor. Next on the agenda are ordinances, resolutions, new business, planning, and zoning. Are we ready with a omnibus motion? Vice Mayor.
Mayor, motion to approve items 12 through 82, except the following. Item 12Q, 12R, 15, 16, 17, 18, 22, 23, 36, 51, 60, and 70. Items 12AN and 13 are as corrected, and excluding these items for public comment. 12D, 12N, 12Z, 12AC, 16 and 17 are already pulled, 43, 45, and 64. 12I was originally considered. Councilman Nowakowski is okay with it being on the omnibus.
All right, we have a motion, an omnibus motion. Do we have a second on that motion? Any comments or questions for members of the council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Nowakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is item 12D, which is a part of our payment ordinance. Oh, I see. Leonard Clark, you wanted to provide comments on 12D, N, Z, and AC, which I assume are all part of our payment ordinance? No problem. So let's see. Can we get a motion in favor of?
I move.
How about
for
12D? Let's just.
You want me to do all of them?
No, because I'm not sure. There may be other reasons to pull them, so let's just do them individually. So how about 12D? Do you have a motion on 12D?
I
Motion.
move
A motion, you have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Roll call?
DeCiccio. Nowakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. 12I, I believe, is next.
That was done.
12N.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I apologize. Okay. 12N. Do we have a motion on 12N, Vice Mayor?
Motion to approve item 12N.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that passed unanimously. 12Q. We have a motion on 12Q.
Second.
Motion to approve
Oh.
item 12Q.
Second.
We have a second, then a motion.
And the motion.
Just kidding. And a follow-up second? All right, we got the
Second.
right order there, okay.
There you go.
We have a motion and a second on 12Q. Any comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes on an 8-1 vote. 12R is next. We have a motion on 12R.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments by this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, item passes 8-1. Next item is 12Z. Do we have a motion on 12Z?
Motion to approve item 12Z.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Motion on 12AC.
Motion to approve item 12AC.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next on the agenda is item 15. 15 is a public hearing. There will be no council action on item number 15. Item number 15 is a proposed public hearing for a public hearing for a proposed annexation at 42nd Street and Dynamite Boulevard. I believe that's in District 2. And so I will now open the public hearing on item number 15. Are there any cards at item 15? We do have one card on item 15. Mr. Kenneth Henry, did you provide testimony before this council on item number 15?
Good day, Mr. Stanton and council members. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I'm opposed to the annexation action in the Pinnacle Vista community on Dynamite Boulevard. During the last 3 to 4 years, the city of Phoenix has annexed 4 different multi-acreage plots of land that were previously a part of Maricopa County in and around Dynamite Boulevard, Cave Creek Road, and Tatum Boulevard. These annexation actions were all specifically at the request of home developers who are conducting residential infill builds for profit. The Maricopa County CCRs for this community, for most of the community neighbors and members that went out there, originally built were for 1 home per acre and for use as horse and ranch property. Many of the neighbors in this community were unable to attend today, but they feel that the annexation leads to a rubber stamp process for a future rezoning action by the city council. In fact, the only purpose for this annexation action is for the future pending rezoning action by the developer. And it is this specific attempt to change the rural living lifestyle that all the neighbors in this Pinnacle Vista community universally reject. I have been informed that a future rezoning meeting would occur post-annexation by the city, but I am very hopeful that the city council will postpone any annexation decisions currently and possibly allow the community members of Pinnacle Vista, my other neighbors who were not allowed to be here, those that will be adversely affected by this action, to possibly have a meeting with the community village planners, possibly Councilman Waring, to more fully address our concerns that I was unable to bring forth today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your testimony. Is anyone else here in the audience wishing to speak on item number 15, proposed annexation, 42nd Street and Dynamite Boulevard? Going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. Again, there was no action by the City Council on this item today. The purpose of that is a legally required public hearing on the proposed annexation. Thank you for coming down and providing that testimony. We'll now move on the agenda. Next item on the agenda is item number 16. Item number 16 is the canvass of the vote for the November 2016 City Council special election. Vice Mayor, do we have a proposed motion on item number 16?
Motion to approve item 16.
A motion and a second. Councilwoman Stark?
Yes, I declare conflict. Thank you.
So Councilwoman Stark has a potential conflict, and out of abundance of caution will not be participating in today's action. Leonard Clark, did you have testimony on the canvass of the vote?
First of all, thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting me speak. My name is Leonard Clark. I live in Phoenix. I understand this is going to be a symbolic nay vote for me as a non-elected person, and I want to congratulate the people who participated. It's nothing personal on them, but as you know, there's a conflict. I'm here to tell you that the verification process used for signatures on absentee ballots by Helen Purcell and 13 other county recorders, with the exception of Pima County Recorder, who did the right constitutional thing. I'm here to tell you that an unconstitutional denial of votes, I'm giving you constructive notice that, you know, during the last election that you're going to approve, people had their 14th Amendment violated, their right to liberty, not just their life and property. They had the section of the Arizona Constitution that applies to all Arizona citizens in Phoenix, which states that we shall have free and equal elections apply, because if your signature was challenged, and we don't even know if they even had qualified people at Maricopa County elections, Helen Purcell stated, hey, we'll try to contact them, you know, because the law doesn't require it. And so not all the people were contacted. But then even on the article that Mary Jo Pitzel did on November 8th, that day, people have written in the comment section, at least one individual stating, yeah, I called and found out, or I got a email notice that my signature was challenged, needed to be verified on my absentee ballot. And it said to contact them. I contacted them and it said to call back tomorrow. So what we have here is an unconstitutional denial of votes. Now people say, well, Leonard, they say it's only 1,400 votes, you know, for all of Maricopa County. That's what they say. We don't know, but one vote denied, one, you know, unconstitutionally denied vote, and it's not about Republicans or Democrats. I'd say the same thing if it was John F. Kennedy violating, you know, it doesn't matter. The vote is sacred. So I just ask you to please not approve it. Is that my beep? Oh, good. That was a fake beep. Or was that, was that my time?
If you have like one more sentence, get it out, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm going to speak to you on suggestions of the other thing, the next item that will be apropos to that. Thank you very much.
You'll have a couple minutes then. So we have a motion in favor of 16, accepting the canvass of the vote. We have a second, noting Councilwoman Stark's potential conflict. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Yes. Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Yes. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Items that passed 8-0. Next item, 17, is the proposed form of the ballot for the March 14th, 2017 runoff election. Do we have a motion on 17?
Motion to approve item 17.
Second.
A motion and a second. Councilwoman Stark?
And I declare a conflict on this as well.
All right, so Councilwoman Stark has a potential conflict and will not be participating in item number 17. Mr. Clark?
Thank you very much. My name is Leonard Clark. I'm here to speak, and thank you for letting me speak as a resident of Phoenix on the upcoming election. And I want to thank the people who participated in our democratic process here in the United States of America and in Phoenix, Arizona. I want to thank you because you're not going, at least the city clerk, and thank you to very nice people, told me anyways that essentially you will not be using Maricopa County elections. Now, I realize Adrian Fontes is the new person at county elections, Maricopa County elections, but I feel much more comfortable with the city of Phoenix, who apparently seems to be using a much more democratic process. You'll have multi-day for people to go in and vote. We can go in at any ballot location and vote, not like what was with Maricopa County. The only thing I asked, several things, is one, I've been told by the clerk's office, very nice people, that you will take another look at the signature verification process for absentee ballots. We shouldn't, and there's over approximately 800,000 registered voters in District 3 of the city of Phoenix, beautiful district. But my concern is one vote denied unconstitutionally is too many. I ask that you follow the method of the Pima County Recorder. I've got 2 lawsuits, one in Maricopa County Superior Court, one in the federal court. They refuse to have any hearings for the citizens. We're just peasants. Unless you're wealthy or rich or a politician, you don't get heard. But the citizens can hear here. You have a chance. You've said you're going to relook at the way the process for signatures are verified on absentee ballots. You won't do it. Helen Purcell said, hey, if we don't contact them, I'm sorry. We'll try. Maybe the law says we don't have to. Pima County says no. You have to do that. Arizona Secretary of State is saying, no, you don't have to. It's not fair if somebody votes that day on an absentee ballot and you challenge, or you say their signature needs to be verified, and then I'm asking that the city clerk will say, no, we will contact these people or make every effort and be able to show that we did. And also, I hope that you have qualified signature people on checking these signatures. This is not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. We have a motion on 17. We have a second, noting Councilman Stark's potential conflict. Any additional comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. No. Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, item passes on a 6-2 vote. Item number 18 is a proposed amendment with the lease with Maricopa County for space at City Hall. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion on 18?
Motion to approve item 18.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman Stark, do you have comments on item 18?
Yeah, yes, Mayor, thank you. I just wanted to say this is just a great concept. I know we need to better advertise it, but it really enables our residents and businesses to come to one spot to get all the necessary permits, not just city permits, but county permits. And I welcome the addition of the kiosk, the Maricopa County Recorder's kiosk. I just think we need to probably do a better job of getting the word out and letting people know you can come to one place to get all your business done. But it's a great concept. I applaud it.
Thank you very much, Councilman Stark. Any additional comments by members of this council on item number 17? 18, I apologize, 18. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Nowakowski. Pastor. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes unanimously. Item 22 is the proposed approval of the amendments to the 2016 through 19 MOU between City of Phoenix and LIUNA. Vice Mayor.
Motion to approve item 22.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on 22. Any cards on 22? Any comments from members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. No. Nowakowski. Yes. Pastor. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes 7-2. Item 23 is a similar item, except for the labor group is AFSCME 2384. Vice Mayor.
Motion to approve item 23.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any cards on that item? Roll call.
DeCiccio. No. Nowakowski. Pastor. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Item number 36 is next. Item number 36 concerns exclusive pouring rights sponsorship for the Phoenix Convention Center. Is anyone from staff here maybe give a short explanation as to what this would do?
Mayor, we have Deputy City Manager Paul Blue and Convention Center Director John Chan, who can discuss this item. Paul?
Mayor, members of the council, I'll let John speak to the precise details of this item.
Mayor and members of the City Council, this is a revenue contract for the convention center. The staff went through a RFP process. This is for exclusive beverage pouring rights and sponsorship at the convention center. As part of this contract, it requires an investment of equipment, fountain beverages, vending machines, as well as the sponsorship and commission revenue paid to the convention center.
Okay, and we're recommending Pepsi for the contract?
Pardon me?
Recommending Pepsi for the contract?
Yes.
Okay. Any, a motion on 36? Let me first find out if we have a motion and a second.
Move approval.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Okay, any cards on that item? Any comments by members of the city council? Councilman reporting? You had a call. Councilman Williams?
Well, I have a question for Sal.
Yeah, please.
I understand that they were the only bidder that were timely. Is that true?
That is correct. We did receive two proposals, one from Pepsi, which is the recommended proposer. We did receive another proposal from Coca-Cola. However, that proposal was received after the deadline.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any additional comments or questions by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. No. Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, the item passes on a 7-1 vote before this city council. Next item on the agenda is item number 43. Do we have a motion on 43?
Motion to approve item 43.
We have a motion and a second on 43. Mr. Clark, did you have testimony on item number 43?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Leonard Clark. I'm a resident of Phoenix, and lately in the news, we've been hearing about how, you just heard of the horrible attack that occurred with the young Somali man. People say, well, it was terrorism. People say this or that. But really, a sane person doesn't go after somebody with a butcher knife and try to run somebody over. A sane person does not do that. We need to start looking at mental health and stop making it such a thing where we embarrass people and shame them. And to start in childhood, as we've just been hearing in the news by people who study this, we need to start early with our children, because this is the thing in the room. We see our brothers and sisters, our fellow citizens, human beings, walking the streets with mental illness. Now, Diane Rehm just had a very good show on. I urge you to get the podcast from either yesterday or the day before. And they were talking about involuntary commitment. And I can tell you, as I go to the legislature as much as I can, and they enjoy having me there, they'll tell you that. But when I go into the committees, and they've talked about in the past, the mayor, I'm sorry, anyways, I forgot his name, but from Fountain Hills, the representative there, Mr. Kavanaugh, they've talked about involuntary commitment, but there's a lot of complications to that. But this is something that I'm so happy that you're doing. I just wish we could expand it to our law enforcement. They're the ones that actually encounter mentally disabled people firsthand, much more than even some of the providers that are supposed to be there. So this thing for Head Start is critical. It's just too bad that we don't back this. Again, it's not about politics. It's not about Democrats or Republicans. It's about getting to our children first. With the mental illness starts early. We need to start on this early and actually join some of the Northern European countries. They're not utopia, but they have some great programs. We need to look at other cities in the country, and I hope that you will also, again, go to the Diane Rehm show on there, and I hope the legislature's listening on this as well. I mean, you guys are doing what you can, so thank you very much, and I hope you'll pass this measure.
All right, thank you very much, Mayor. Mr. Clark. Councilman DeCiccio, please.
I'm going to push back a lot on that Ohio State thing. The guy, this would not have helped that person. That person was a dirtball. He was a bad person. He tried to murder a bunch of youth in our country, and that's what occurred there. He was a terrorist, and that's what he is, and that's what I'm going to call it. And we can call him whatever you want to call him. You can call him nice. You can call him whatever. They needed a little help. That person in Ohio State needed more than help. He needed to be kicked out of this country, and he needs to be in jail. He's dead now. Thank goodness for that police officer who shot him, because I'm glad that happened. That was horrible what occurred in that situation there. These kinds of programs don't help people like that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments or questions? We have a motion in favor of 43. We have a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is item number 45.
Motion to approve item 45.
We have a motion. We have a second. Mr. Clark, item 45.
Hello, Mayor. My name is Leonard Clark and Council. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm a resident of Phoenix. Look, I'm like you. We want to get the bad guys. But the current war on drugs is insane. Speaking of what we just had, the last measure, it's insane. We're throwing people in jail for doing a victimless crime for marijuana. Now, you're making a letter of agreement with the federal, with the FDA, okay? I'm not an isolate. You know me, I'm a lefty. I mean, for crying out loud, if anybody believes in big government, it's Mr. Clark. But in this case, I'm sorry to have to say, I have to side with my libertarian brothers and sisters and all people of reasonable common sense. We don't even have a Fourth Amendment anymore. You are making another agreement to entangle us with the federal government even more that has got this undeclared war on drugs and undeclared war on terrorism and the Patriot Act and all the rest of it. Edward Snowden has shown us this. Julian Assange has shown us this. Miss Manning has shown us this. Chelsea Manning. You know, I'm for Social Security. I'm for Medicare and Medicaid, like they're trying to kill now in Washington, D.C. But I find myself uncomfortably sitting shoulder to shoulder with my libertarian brothers and sisters and all citizens and human beings of good sense to get in bed with the federal government even more, to throw more of our people into jail in these private prisons for marijuana. This is ridiculous. Alcohol kills many more people. Alcohol is a horrible drug. But that didn't work too well except for a guy named Al Capone. We need to do smart, common sense things, not use an axe to kill the fly on the forehead. I urge you not to pass this deal with the FDA. We have no Fourth Amendment right to privacy anymore. We're denied our right to vote in many cases. The people aren't going to take this much longer. I love our country. We need to do this now. Listen to the people. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Clark. We have a motion in favor of 45. We have a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes unanimously. Item 51 is next. Vice Mayor, do you have a motion on 51?
Motion to approve item 51.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any cards? Any comments from members of the council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes 7-2. Item 60 is next. Vice Mayor, do you have a motion on item 60?
Motion to approve item 60.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any cards in that item? Any comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Is that 7-2? 8-1. That one passes on 8-1 vote. Item 70 is next. Vice Mayor? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. 64 is next.
Item to approve item 64.
We have a motion and a second on 64. We have a few cards on item number 64. Item 64 is the proposed LED streetlight program for the city of Phoenix that has been for this council a few times and been for subcommittee. And now we have a recommendation and a vote today on that program. Mr. Paniagua, Deputy City Manager, what are you proposing on item 64?
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the City Council, today we're requesting action on the approval of a contract for installation of LED lighting citywide. So it's a conversion of street lighting from the existing lights to LEDs, of nearly 100,000 street lights citywide. The benefits of the project are the community is going to receive enhanced lighting on the streets, but we also see benefits to the reduction in energy demand and a significant reduction in cost. The project is going to more than pay for itself, and once it does, the city will see significant savings. So the recommendation today is to award a contract to Amoresco following a very thorough procurement process to change the standard of the lighting to 2,700 Kelvin for all city street lights, and to move forward with that project.
All right, thank you very much. Get a motion ready?
I will
We already have,
move-
so we have a motion
I
and a second on the floor on in favor of 64. Mr. Craig Weaver, did you wish to provide testimony on item 64? Done more to educate this council on Kelvin issues than anyone. Thank you for doing so.
Luminous.
Thank
Floor
you for
is
that
yours.
comment, Mayor, City Council. I'm going to be quicker than I have been in the past. Number one, I'm representing Sunny Slope Neighbors, and we support the movement towards 2,700 Kelvin for the streetlights for almost all of our city streets, neighborhoods, and parks. We'd like to also recognize the consideration that the staff has had for the dimmers, and they're looking into that option. I think that's a real plus that can actually save even more energy, and that's a win-win as well. I'm here today to basically thank the staff for taking a second look at this issue. That's the staff here on this side of the equation. And I would also like to make sure that we recognize this opportunity to save energy, something I learned in a grad class at ASU in 1983. So you can recognize that this is an opportunity for the city of Phoenix to move forward in a leadership position rather than following other cities down the road to a mistake. City of Phoenix is now going to be a leader in getting this lighting right because of the new technology of LEDs. And I would like to thank the staff for learning more about LEDs and taking a look at this and coming to this conclusion. And I also like to thank your staff for meeting with so many of us and learning more themselves. Thank you again.
Thank you for your leadership, Mr. Weaver. Next is Jim Malicki, followed by Dan Herring.
Mayor, council members, thank you very much for taking the time to hear me. A year and a half ago, my mother Cynthia read an op-ed from International Dark Skies Association that was raising concerns about 4,000 Kelvin for a number of issues. If you've met my mother Cynthia, you would understand when I say that if it's a concern she has, then it's a concern I have. She's not going to have it any other way. And I'm sure it's the same with many of you and your mothers. So here we are. And I want to say congratulations. I want to say congratulations for extending the process so you got it right. International Dark Skies, Craig Weaver, John Barentine deserve a lot of credit for talking English from that science geeky stuff. Nicole Rodriguez with Witten did a fabulous job of reaching out to other neighborhood groups so that it wasn't just simply this very small conversation, because it wasn't just about lights. And we talked about all of the various issues, whether they be health or environmental, and I'm not going to get into that. But what I also want to do is congratulate those neighborhood groups for really raising the issue among themselves and advocating in an appropriate way. And here we are, as a result, a very effective way. Councilwoman Williams, near and dear to my heart as my councilwoman. So many meetings with you at your T&I, so thank you very much. And I also want to take a moment to very much so thank Councilwoman Laura Pastor. She and her staff went above and beyond in terms of reaching out to neighborhood groups and leaders. Looking at it on the website wasn't enough. We had to see these lights in person. We had to talk about this. We had to communicate with each other. We had to also effectively communicate with you in terms of making this decision as well as staff. And I think we trained a lot of leaders that Phoenix can continue to rely upon. New people came to the table. That's what's really exciting about this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malicki. And then finally, Mr. Herring.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for an opportunity to address you this afternoon. I'm here representing Amoresco, and I just also wanted to say from sort of the market side of the ledger, applaud staff for running such a rigorous and thoughtful, prolonged RFP process that really put a premium on creativity and value for the community. We're very humbled that our solution, which included really technical competence and support of the city's decision for the 2700 Kelvin solution, our experience in installing these sorts of solutions nationwide and including 90 miles south in the state, our hand-picked team, which includes Phoenix residents and contractors familiar with the city, was deemed to be of value to the city. So thank you for that. We stand ready and able and willing to execute if you should be so inclined to approve this item. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Herring. I have no other cards on this item, and I'll turn to members of the council. Any comments from members of this council? Councilman Williams, please.
I just want to thank the community. We talk about a community project. When this first began, it seemed to have a lot of people involved in not the most pleasant way, a lot of arguments among some of the citizens. And truthfully, I learned so much from the citizens. And I really want to appreciate all your efforts. You really went beyond. You are our teachers, I will tell you that. I think you worked very good with staff. You were excellent. You listened to the community. You did your research. And I think what we come up with is something that's going to serve us for a long time in a very sound manner. So thank you, and thank all the citizens that were involved.
Thank you very much. Any other comments by members of this council? Councilwoman Pastor.
I really would like to thank the citizens for engaging me. At first, I was like, okay, what are we talking about? And how do we go about doing this? But it was a very long process. I'm hoping that in the future we can move the process to a shorter, make decisions shorter. But we needed to have the process to understand because we were being taught about Kelvins, Luminous, everything else that I can possibly do. I can now drive down a road and tell you where there is an LED light, how high they are, what it should be. So you have trained me well. I also wanted to acknowledge Councilman Waring because he also held a meeting that was very informative about LED lights. And so I think a combo of all of everything that was happening and a combo of everything, we were able to get to where we are today. So I did want to acknowledge Councilman Waring for doing that because even though I wasn't physically there, I did learn a lot from it. Because I had staff there who was able then to demonstrate to me some of the conversations that were or the ideas and conversations that were had during that time. So thank you very much for all this good hard work. Now let's vote.
All right, thank you very much. Any other comments by members of the council? Councilman Nowakowski.
Mayor, I also want to thank all those advocates and especially our staff also. Last night, Mario and Ray actually met me out in the neighborhood and drove me through and showed me the difference between the lights that we have now and the lights that we're proposing. And I just want to thank you. It was cold out there, but we walked the neighborhoods and it turned out really nice. And I think it's a good addition. I was concerned that it was going to be bright enough because a lot of times in our block watch meetings, we hear that the city lights are real dim and they're not bright enough. And with this new addition, I think it's going to be bright enough for those neighborhoods that need more lighting. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? City Manager, no, virtually from day one as mayor, I've been pushing that we go to LED lights. So many other cities had done that, pushed pretty aggressively, and we were moving in a pretty aggressive schedule. This is a big deal, what we're voting on today, to change 100,000 street lights across the entire city. From my perspective, it was important from a sustainability perspective. It's the right thing to do for the city. There was going to be cost savings as well, and we were pushing pretty fast to get this done. Staff was sharpening their pencils to making sure that we would get the cost savings out of it so it wouldn't cost the citizens of Phoenix any additional taxpayer dollars. And then we met Mr. Craig Weaver, who said, hold on a minute, maybe we ought to think about this in a little deeper way, because other cities had rushed it as well and had made a mistake as a result, some who have even had to change some of the LED lights that they put it because of citizens' complaint. And with the leadership of Councilwoman Pastor, Councilman Williams, and I didn't know Councilman Waring had the meeting, but that's great to hear, with the leadership of Craig Weaver and Jim and some of the other leading citizens. You educated us about kelvins and circadian rhythms, et cetera, and we learned a whole bunch. And I think at the end of the day, we got the decision right. So we get the sustainability benefits, we get the cost-saving benefits, and we get the right lighting level so that it will have the least any kind of negative impact on the community, but actually have a positive impact on the community. So it balanced out all the interests. It turned out, it took a little longer, but it turned out the right way. And I really want to say thank you for your leadership and active involvement. With that, any other comments by members of the council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela. Yes. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes unanimously. Thank you so much, everybody. Next, well, there's no other item on the agenda. That is the last item on today's agenda.
70.
70, I apologize.
Motion to approve item 70.
Second.
I'm off my game today. All right, motion and a second in favor of 70. Are there any cards on 70? Any comments from members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Nowakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
No.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, and I believe that's 6-3. That motion, that item passes on a 6-3 vote before this city council. I think that's the last item, so there being no further business before this city council. This meeting is adjourned.